Hi everybody, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thanks for stopping for a few minutes with me today. I do appreciate your time. Whether this is your first time with me, your return viewer, or you do subscribe, I do appreciate you. Today's video is going to be all about the wheat sheaf stitch and this blanket, this little lap blanket that I made that I love, love, love. I was interested in making something big because I had 10 skeins of this yarn. But after I started working on it, I just stopped where I was. I thought it would be a nice size just as it is. And so I'm going to use the rest of it for something else. I only used 4 skeins. So what we are talking about is Caron cakes. I do love Caron cakes. This is a 4-weight yarn. It is recommended to use a 5mm H hook. It's 80% acrylic and 20% wool, so they request that you hand wash and lay flat to dry. It's 7.1 ounces, and it's a 383 yards. So there's quite a bit of yarn here. And besides the beautiful rainbow colors, of course, I really liked the fact that this one is called Rainbow Sprinkles because of the specific bleed throughs that it does to sprinkle color throughout all of the rest of the colors. Now in one of my other videos I talk about when you've got a cake like this and you're making something and it does one of those bleed throughs. It's so disappointing to be like a splotch on your beautiful color. But in this case they did it on purpose, and I think the blanket turned out really, really nice. So what I wanted to do was, I didn't know how the colorway was going to play out. So instead of trying to decide on what kind of blanket to do lengthwise, I went with strips. And then I was going to put the strips all together. And at that point, I still was undecided on the length of the blanket or the width of the blanket. So I laid them all out on my pool table downstairs, and I would do my strip, and then I left the yarn attached until the very, very end when I decided how long I wanted to make everything. So that was kind of funny. My husband's glad to have his pool table back. So what I did was 22 stitches. It's a multiples of 5, and then you add 2. And I'm going to go through a little tutorial at the end, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like. There's the groupings of double crochets in the center, which are then anchored by a single crochet on either side of them. And then alternating rows have either 3 double crochets or a single crochet to anchor to the side. And then it was my dream, it was my idea for this blanket to attach these seamlessly so that you can't see what color I used to connect them, and they would just all play out together. So I tried to use skeins that started with different colors so that like each color would be represented an even amount, but you know, there's a whole lot of color controlling in that, and I'm trying to control my color controlling. So that's the front side of the blanket, and then what I would call the front side, and then the back side has the seam. And normally when you do a single crochet, or in this case a slip stitch to join them like this, you know, like when you're working with squares, there would also be a seam here, and so then we call that a window pane. But in this case, it was just the vertical stripes that needed connecting because the color changes happened by themselves. So like as you see here, I went ahead and started when I changed the seam color here, it went from red to orange. I grabbed orange because I could take the orange all the way up past the green. You know, I wouldn't have to trade seam colors that often. So I tried to, you know, use the most color at the same time kind of thing. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about with cakes, when you're working with a variegated color like this, or a striping or a changing color, whatnot, you want to make sure that your colors go in the same direction. As you see here, this one starts with, you know, red, and then goes to blue, and then goes to green. But in this one, the green, nope, that's the same one. The red to the blue to the green. You're not going in the same direction anymore. See, the red is on the inside, red, blue, green, and on this one, red, blue, green. So I had to separate I had to go through my 10 skeins and make sure I had the same color direction on all of the skeins that I was going to use. So I have 2 that are different than the other 8. So I pulled those out to the side, and I want to make sure to use those together or separately or in a situation where it doesn't matter. Because the rest of this, so this is what I was talking about. I had all the skeins laid out, and I wouldn't cut them off until I was at the end of the entire blanket and decided that was how long I was going to make it, because I wanted to leave it tied on so I could continue to stitch, you know, make them longer strips. So I weighed all of my remnants that I have left, and there's 14.9 ounces, and each of these is 7.1. So I've got, you know, just over 2 ounces or 2 cakes left from making this blanket. So this one was about 4 cakes, and I've got 6 left to do something else with. So that's exciting to me, because I didn't, you know, I really wanted to use this yarn, and then I didn't go through all of it. So I've got a whole lot left to still do. So you can see here some of that color bleeding. The green has all of this red in it. You can see some of it more strongly than others, and the lighting is bad here, but you know, I usually am blinded by the sunshine coming through my window here in the mornings when I'm doing my filming, but it stormed last night, and so it's still kind of gray and yucky outside, so I'm not getting really true color on this. But so yeah, so I thought I'd break away and kind of show you. It's a pretty simple stitch. Like I said, each of the strips are 22 stitches. You can make them obviously much wider if you wanted. Do the whole blanket just back and forth. So this is touching the floor now, and so it's, you know, much bigger than a lap blanket. You know, you could turn it sideways and share with a friend, or a big, you know, a young child's blanket, young toddler's blanket, or just a throw, or just a wrap, whatever. I thought this was awesome. I love it. You can have the side, which I call the back side, but it's got the seam on it. Some people like that texture, or, you know, you can show it the way that I do, in that seam is, what seam? I don't see a seam. That's called seamless, friends, and it's magnificent. So all I did was, you know, pinch them together with the right sides facing, and then do a slip stitch along the back, and it's not nearly as noticeable as a single crochet, so I enjoy that. And there you go. So yeah, so let's go ahead and try to break away here. I'm going to try to do what I can to show you a little tutorial, and let's see how that goes for my first time. Alrighty, so once you have an idea that you want to learn a new thing, I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit hindered sometimes if I'm going to learn a pattern, because you know, you're kind of tied to what the pattern is. But like in a video like this where you're just learning a stitch, it's great because you could really apply it to any type of yarn that you'd like to, any type of pattern that you'd like to. You can do scarves or blankets, or strips into blankets like I did. So and I've seen this video done with, you know, every size weight yarn like I'm talking about, as well as different stitch counts. So, you know, this isn't set in stone. Like any kind of crochet, you can be creative and do your own thing, but this is the count that I used, and so I'll show you what I did. And so, like we know, I used the Caron cakes. We love these so much. So much color activity in just one skein, so, or one cake. So okay, so this pattern, this is the wheat sheaf pattern stitch, wheat sheaf stitch. And so it's a multiple of 5, and then you're going to add 2. So I've got 17 here, just for a little sample size to show you. So we don't count the loop that's on our crochet hook. So into the second chain, we're going to do a single crochet, and we're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch as well, and that's going to anchor down our side. And then you're going to want to do a chain 3, and we're going to skip 2, 1, 2. So into this third, we're going to do a single crochet, and we just anchored a chain space that our double crochets are going to go down into. So now you're going to want 3 single crochets all together. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Oops, my yarn is caught up. Okay, And then you're going to do another chain 3 and skip 2 stitches again, 1, 2, and then into that third you're going to do another single crochet. And then he needs a couple of friends, so second single crochet and third single crochet. Whoops. All right, and then we're going to chain 3 again. And at this point, when you get to the end of your blanket or your piece, whatever project you're working on, there should be 4 stitches left. So you've got your chain 3, you're going to skip these 2, and you're going to do a single crochet in the last 2 stitches. So it's going to match the front side of the row with 2 single crochets. Okay, so you'll have 2 single crochets on either end, and then you'll have chain 3s that go over a skip 2, and then you'll have 3 single crochets together, and then you'll have another chain 3 space with a skip 2, and then 3 single crochets next to each other, etc. Okay, so round 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to single crochet in the same again, and we're going to single crochet in the next one, give our anchor some stability there, and then you're going to do 5 double crochets in that space, just right into that space. So there's 1. The beginning's always a little bit fiddly. There's 3. Whoop. You can scoot them over if you need to. There's room for everyone. All right, and there's our 5. So we've got our 2 single crochets, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doubles. And then coming up next, we've got those 3 single crochets in a row. We're going to go a single crochet in the center of those 3. Okay, and we're going to anchor that down. And then we've got another 5 doubles in the next chain space. So now you're just repeating 5 doubles in the chain space. 3, 4, 5. All right, and then we've got the 3 single crochets next to each other. We're going to skip the first one and do a single crochet into the second one, into that center one. Middle child is always the best, right? So then we've got our double crochet clusters anchored with a single crochet on either end, and just keep on doing that down the whole row. So there's our anchor, and then we're gonna do another 5 double crochets here, and I'll meet you for these final 2. You're gonna do a single crochet in each of those last 2. Okay, so you've paused and unpaused the video now. You've got your last cluster of 5 double crochets in the chain space, and you've got just these 2 little kind of tiny hidden chain spaces or single crochets from the row below. You're going to do a single crochet in each of those. Okay. And there's our matching ends. We've got 2 single crochets on each side, and then you've got clusters of 5 double crochets with a single crochet in between, as long as your project is wide. All right, moving on to round 3. We're going to do a chain 3, 2, 3, and that's going to count as on the other side. We're going to do the same, a chain 1 and a half double into the end, so this will match it on this side. And we always want our ends to be symmetrical. So we did our chain 3 and turned, and then of these 5 double crochets, you're going to want to do a single crochet in the middle 3. So you can count this any way you'd like to. You know, we're not going to crochet into the end stitch. We're going to skip that next single crochet, and we're going to skip the first double crochet. So out of that 5 double crochets, we're going to do a single crochet in those center 3. Okay. All right. And then we're going to do a chain 3. And we're going to jump across here. So you're basically skipping the last double crochet, the single crochet that is at the anchor, the first double crochet of the next one, and then there's the 3 center double crochets where you're going to put a single crochet in each one of those 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then a chain 3, and then jump over the valley down here, and you're going to do a single crochet across the top of the 3 center double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and so go ahead and repeat that for as long as your project is wide. And when you get to the last, when you get to the end here, what you want to do is a chain 1 and then a half double crochet in that very last stitch. You might have to grab it kind of funnily. Okay, so you've got a small little gap on this side, and then our gaps here in the center, and then a small little gap there on that side as well. So these will get full 5 double crochet clusters, and on the ends of these we're going to do 3 double crochets, so it's like halves. So your double crochet clusters are offset from each other, each in the row below. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on row 4. We're going to chain 3, whoops, hold still. We're going to chain 3, and then we're going to turn, and we're going to do a double crochet, 2 more double crochets, or 2 double crochets into that space. So I just said that we're going to have 3 double crochets on each end, so like half clusters, and there's our first one. Okay, that the chain 3 counts as a double crochet. If you have a different method that you prefer to go up, be my guest, use that. But for the ease of, you know, this blanket works just fine on doing 3 chains and then 2 more double crochets in there. Okay, so there's your first side that's going to be the offsetting. So now in the 3 single crochets from down below, we're going to do a single crochet in the center, and that's going to be just like before where we anchor our shells or our clusters. So then we should be at this at this chain 3 space from the row below, and in here you're going to do 5 double crochets. These are going to be the full cluster spaces as opposed to the half cluster spaces that we've got on the ends of this row. Okay, oops, there's 4 and 5. So we're going to do the next spot is 3 single crochets, and we're going to do a single crochet in the center of that to anchor our cluster. And then just repeat that, 5 double crochets in the chain 3 spaces and a single crochet in the center of the 3 single crochets from the row below. Okay, I'm just about at the end of my row here. I'm working on my last cluster, my last full cluster, I should say. There's 4 and 5. Okay, so here's my 3 single crochets. I'm going to go into the center and anchor that with 1 single crochet, and then I've got my side, which is going to be a half cluster, which is going to be 3 double crochets, and you can just go into the space if you want. Some people prefer to go into that 3rd chain. That's completely up to you. I'm just going to go into the space. Some blankets it really makes a difference. I don't find that it does on this one, so I'm going to take the path of least resistance. Why fight that last stitch? Okay, so there we go. For as long as your blanket is, you're going to have a chain 3 and then 2 double crochets on this side, so that's 3 double crochets, and we did 3 double crochets on this side, and then everywhere in between you've got a single crochet to anchor your 5 double crochet clusters. All right, and then we're going to move on to row 5. Whoops, get my yarn. Okay, row 5, you're going to chain 1 and turn. You're going to anchor that with a single crochet in the first, that same stitch, and a single crochet in the next. So of those 3 double crochets below, you've got 2 single crochets, and then you're going to chain 3. Oops. And you're going to jump across the valley again. So skip the last double crochet, the single crochet, and the first double crochet. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the top of the three of those 5 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And do your chain 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip those bottom valleys and do single crochets in the center 3 of those 5 double crochets. Oops. Okay. And so continue to do that along your entire length. And at the end here, I'll show you, I'm on my last chain 3, skip down over that valley, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So let's do one in the second. Again, you're skipping the 3. Let's go back just a little bit here. You're skipping the last double crochet, the single crochet from the anchor, and the first double crochet. So then there's 2 double crochets left, and they each get 1 single crochet on the top. Now with a chain 3 as your side, some people like to turn it so that they're getting into the true V of the stitch, but I find that when I do that, it really twerks out the side of that gap. It makes that gap a little bit bigger. So you can, in my opinion, you can leave the chain 3 lay how it does and then stab into it and get to that way. And then it sort of gaps less on that side. So I'm pretty much OCD. I would always grab the top 2, except in this situation, I think that stabbing it into the side like that works just fine. So there's the end of row 5. So that's where your pattern repeat starts over with round 2. So go ahead and rewind the video and rewatch rows 2 through 5 and just do that over and over and over for as long as you would like your pattern or your project. And you know, borders are always optional. In this one, in my case here, I did put a little bit of a border on mine. Since the pattern was a mix of single crochets and double crochets, I know there was a half doubles on the sides, but I just wanted to do 2 rows, so I did a single crochet border and then a double crochet border. And you know, in the sense that I was trying to match the color of the seam to the color of the yarn that I was connecting, so that you wouldn't be able to see it on this side. If you used a different color, it would show through right here. So I wanted that to be an invisible seam. So in the same regard, I tried to match the color here. I did want to go around here and do a different color combination. But by that time, it didn't always work out. Here was the blue on blue. There's a single crochet row on there. The orange got some orange. The yellow got some yellow. So I did try to keep it different, but that didn't always work out. And at the end of the blanket, I decided to let the random run its course. So yeah, in this case, I did do 4 doubles in the corners because I wanted it nice and round and full. You can do 3 if you'd like. You can do, you know, like 2 and then a chain and then 2. So corners are really I always have to play with a corner to see how I want it to look on that specific blanket. So, yeah, I hope that this was an easy enough to watch tutorial. I wanted to do them. I can't tell you how many times I retaped this because I stuttered over myself or my chain got counted wrong or something to that effect. So, yeah, so thanks for sticking around for my very first tutorial. I appreciate it if you're still here. Thank you. All right, everybody, I really want to thank you for your time that you spent with me this morning. I appreciate you very much. I love doing this and getting new subscribers all the time and comments that you guys like what I'm doing, like what I'm showing. Just makes me really appreciate this yarn community so much more. I've gotten so much inspiration from the different YouTube channels that talk about their crochet. So I wanted to provide that to you as well. And it looks like I'm kind of doing that a little bit. So thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderfully blessed day. I'll see you again. Thanks. Bye-bye.